From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the PrimeTime Angles Live. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. This is the premier sports betting show. And man, it was a fun weekend this weekend. We had ourselves a lot of really good. It was an awesome sports weekend. Always Thanksgiving does produce some of the best sports weekends that you'll possibly get into. And we had big rivalry games because it was rivalry week in college football. We also had some great tournaments for college basketball as well too, coming from places like the Bahamas. Where else? They were in Portland. They're also over in the Bahamas. And then there are a lot of Florida tournaments as well too. Las Vegas Invitational. And they didn't want to just say what it really was. The Nike Invitational and the Nike Legacy. So they changed up the name and made it the Phil Knight. You know what I mean? So they could, not just make it look like it's something that they just over there just kind of, favored in a little bit. So at the end of the day, man, it was a very good weekend. And let's go ahead and jump into the first thing that I have for you guys, and that's going to be the game this weekend. That was with Ohio State. And Ohio State really did let down the state of Ohio this weekend, losing to Michigan 45-23. Man, and the blame game begins. They're already ready to fire a coach that is 45-5 in total for his career. The guy's lost 2 games in the Big Ten and has been to one team. I don't know, y'all. Harbaugh got 5 years and he looked trash in about 3 of them, and pretty much had to wait for a coach like Ryan Day to come along to kind of get his footing right in this rivalry. At the end of the day, I truly do think that Ohio State played themselves because they thought that they were going to just be able to walk all over Michigan, especially when they jumped out to that early lead, man. That early lead kind of was a telling point. Ohio State really had to put the smash down, but they didn't. Because when they were able to get the stops that they were able to get, they weren't capitalizing off those stops. And then once you get a 75-yard touchdown, then you hit them with a 69-yard touchdown on the next drive. You start getting a little to the point to where, can they stop these guys? Because no team that's going to win today is going to give up those 2 long passes. So then Ohio State strikes back with the long pass of their own. And literally that became the last touchdown of the game because Ohio State just fell apart. They had an atrocious third quarter. They couldn't get it back together after giving up another big touchdown early in the half. And so then right after that, they get to the fourth quarter, and there was a lot of mistakes made. But I will say this. Defense was absolutely terrible. But at the same time, too, the lack of discipline on the offensive end, it was just way too many dumb bonehead mistakes that Ohio State made. So I truly do feel that they're doing a little bit too much blame game here and just not understanding that they got outplayed. It's that simple. And the mental was not there. This team was not mentally disciplined. Jim Tressel's teams were mentally disciplined. Urban Meyer's teams were mentally disciplined, and they were very good physically as well. But Urban put it into their heads that you need to go crush Michigan. Like literally, they took Michigan's will for 10 years straight. And folks it's really 20 years because we can go date all the way back to the big Maurice Claret game from 2002 and just go back to that. The day that win happened in Columbus was the day that changed the whole series. How many times has Michigan really won since that point? This will be their fourth time. So 16 out of 20, you're not the bully in this rivalry. Cut it out. Because it's funny. Michigan wins. They get the whole national coverage. They're Michigan. They may have the best coach in the nation, blah, 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 blah. When Ohio State was doing this, it was just a ho-hum. Oh, well, Michigan lost. Well, Ohio State was a way better team. They got way more talent, da-da-da-da. And half of those years, Ohio State and Michigan had the same caliber of talent. So at the end of the day, it comes down to just being a little smarter here. And I know Ohio State is going to have to sit with this one for another year. And then they have to go to Ann Arbor next year as well, too. But let's get to the real point. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this right now. And after seeing the result, you'll say, no, they don't belong in the CFP. But I say this, if they play Michigan again, if they get the opportunity to play Michigan again, it ain't going to be no 45-23 game. I'm going to tell you that right now. I really think that Ohio State will come back around and beat them by double digits. I know that's bold right now, but neutral territory, good weather. Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State in that game. So I could go about this all day long, but props to Michigan. They won that. They took that. They did that. And it is what it is at the end of the day. All right. So we move on. And let's go ahead and jump into the NFL this weekend. We had some fantastic finishes in the NFL this weekend. We had a really good finish in Cleveland with Tom Brady losing it. Everybody loves to see Tom Brady lose. So Tom Brady lost in overtime. Him and his Buccaneers. They literally put themselves in a position where they kind of overthought the thing a little bit and thought that they was going to be able to just, that eventually the Browns would lay down. But the Browns are a 3-7 team that should be that should be a 7-3 team. And damn, the weather, sickness. So I'm saying they should be a 7-3 team right now, right? Because they lost a lot of games they should have won. So them beating them wasn't a hapless team winning. That was a team that wants to win. And they only got 7 losses on the season. So that means that they still got an opportunity to make the playoffs. Even though it's a long shot situation, they got Deshaun Watson coming in this weekend, next weekend, and it's going to be exactly what they wanted it to be. So Cleveland getting that win was huge because now they're 4-7, and they're kind of put themselves in a good position moving forward because you don't really know what these two teams are going to do in the next few weeks. You got a Chargers team that's a little shaky, and then you have a Tennessee team that's a little shaky. But Tennessee's all right, though, because I don't think anybody in their division is going to catch them. But you got the Jets, and everybody's just waiting for the Jets to go on that losing streak. Nobody trusts the Jets. It's that simple. Nobody trusts the Jets, all right? And that's just the real spit. So the Jets being 7-4 really doesn't mean much to anybody because we know that the schedule that they played, they just beat the Bears. They weren't going to beat anybody like that unless it was a team like the Bears. The Bears didn't even have their starting quarterback. The Bears have a defense that's not the Bears' defense. You know what I mean? Those guys are not, John Singletary. They're not Mike Singletary, Richard Dent, and those guys. And, they're not the 85 Bears. So, you got that playing into your hands. But then you did have a fun finish with the Jaguars in a game that I called out as a game you needed to bet the Jaguars in. straight up or on the spread, because I had this feeling that the Jaguars were going to shock the system a little bit after coming off that big comeback win against the Raiders. And you got Trevor Lawrence's confidence now at an all-time high because now he's comfortable in the NFL because he got playmakers with him. So that was a fun win. But the 2 afternoon games, the Raiders and their walk-off, but let's talk about the Chargers first. The Chargers showed some real balls yesterday. They had a situation where they got hit with a holding call there in the last minute and literally had to make up 20 yards off penalties to get that touchdown. They wind up getting the touchdown, and they wound up saying, you know what? We're not going to have this game be settled in overtime. We're going to win this game right now. And Jacksonville did the same exact thing. That's why I brought them up as well, too. And they went for 2. And I say this, they put the 2-point conversion in there for a reason. There was, for a long time, coaches would just go ahead and take the field goal and move on in a situation where they scored a touchdown to tie the game up, to not risk overtime. Now with the rules in overtime, you can score a touchdown, game over. You can make a field goal. The game isn't over yet. You can't take that risk. And then you have to always understand that your kicker can miss the kick on the extra point. So you're taking the same chances that you would in a kick somewhat as well too, and you're taking advantage of a tired defense. That's exactly what the Chargers did to get their 6th win of the season, probably their most important win of the season. Because if they lose that game, I will say this: the Chargers' season was over. 5-6, you wouldn't say it's over. No, their season was over. Let's be honest. Let's be real. You know what I mean? But now they saved the season somewhat, and they can go ahead and move forward from there. But the Raiders, that was awesome. The Raiders started off the game all types of bad. Interception to start the game off. Then Carson misses the kick to put the Raiders, that could have put the Raiders ahead. Everything was pointing towards Seattle winning the game. Then the Raiders made big plays in that game against the Seattle team that's played out of their body this year. And always a tough game in Seattle. But the Raiders reminded all of us that they used to own Seattle when they used to be an AFC West team. And they used to games in Seattle. They went up there and they got themselves their biggest win of the season. And then they topped it off by getting an 86-yard touchdown to go ahead and win that game. And Josh Jacobs had to send a big message to the front office that y'all better pay me, and y'all better pay me good at the end of the season, because everybody else that got paid, this man has been carrying the offense all season long. So it is what it is, man. 4 fantastic finishes in the NFL. That's exactly what we signed up for. This is why I'm loving the season as well, too, because we don't have this blow you out every week. Teams are this trash and blah, 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 blah. It's really any given Sunday again. And that keeps fans interested, because the NFL was really starting to lose my interest as well, too, leading up to this year, because I just was like, I can't keep watching teams get 40 dropped on them every weekend, and then they throwing out flags for every single time the offense has an issue. No. Let's do this thing right. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Exciting Sunday in the NFL. 4 fantastic finishes. You can't ask for anything less. You know what I mean? So we move forward and we have ourselves a very, very, very fun topic to talk about. And that's going to be the CBB tourneys that were this weekend. All were very good. We had the Phil Knight Invitational. We had the Phil Knight Legacy. We had the Battle for Atlantis. We had the Nassau Championships. We had the Bahamas. We had a lot, the ESPN events, but the two most important tournaments were the Phil Knights, because they had North Carolina and Duke there. North Carolina lost 2, Duke lost 2. Most impressive team, I will say, out of all the teams I've seen this weekend, was Tennessee. Tennessee handled their business in the Battle for Atlantis and absolutely crushed Kansas. Like, it wasn't even close. They put in that work on Kansas. And then Purdue was absolutely exceptional as well too. But Purdue's a really good regular season team. They're a team that they're so good in the regular season that they're so bad in the tournament. So we're not going to get too excited about them. But them being number 24 in the nation and Tennessee being number 22 in the nation is a big disservice to two very good ran teams, and they should be in the top 10 this week. So you had great tournaments this weekend. What I saw was a lot of parity in college basketball, and a lot of people have to understand that college basketball is, well, at least in my opinion, much better than the pro product right now. You have a lot of different scenarios that you deal with, a lot of different ways to come about these games, and these holiday tournaments really tell where teams at early in the season. Are they getting along? Do they even like playing with each other? Do they even know each other? And that's why I say don't get too down on your team if they lost 2 in a row or something like that in one of these holiday tournaments, because these holiday tournaments are no guarantee that you win. You're not at home. A lot of these teams are nowhere near home. So you run into a scenario where you have a lot of different situations that arise, and you may lose to a team that you did not see yourself losing to, or you might only win by 5 against a team that you should be winning by 25, i.e. Houston on Saturday against Kent State of all teams. So there it is, man. Holiday tourneys are very important to build the chemistry as a team, and I think that's a very important trait to a team getting to a national championship. This is very good for teams that are going to be in a tournament this year, and this is a very good experience for teams that are going to be fighting to get into the tournament as well too. But there was some good takeaways from this tournament as well. Very good mid-major teams this year and small school teams. And let's go ahead and give props to the Metro, to my favorite conference, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Man, they was killing. And Siena got a 5-point win yesterday against Seton Hall. So it's real in the field when it comes to it. So I like it. I like what I see with college basketball this year. All right, we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk real quick about Regis Prograis, Rougarou, Louisiana Cajun man. So, he goes off. No shock here. He wins a big fight this weekend over Zepeda. Zepeda had a little bit of hope, but man, I'm telling you right now, this guy is special. And when he was going against when he went against Josh Taylor, that fight could have went either way. But the fight wound up going in Josh Taylor's favor because he got a knockdown. Now they're already calling for the rematch for that situation. And we all know that we want the rematch after that fight, but Josh Taylor was the one that said that no rematch, we already did what we had to do. Now there's going to be some real money to be made in the rematch. So I would expect that Prograis will demand that rematch with Josh Taylor if Josh Taylor sticks around 140, or he'll go ahead and fight Jose Ramirez next. And that will be an epic fight because that fight, to me, should take place in Texas. So Regis can get himself somewhat of a hometown crowd there, and that fight will sell very well in one of their smaller venues down there in either Houston or Dallas. You can do the fight at the Toyota Arena. But all in all, I think that that fight has to happen. And with the way that Prograis rolls, he's not tied into any of these promotions. So he'll be fine. He's a guy that can go ahead and they can make a fight and they can go from there. So I like what we see here with Prograis. I think that we have ourselves another guy that is going to be a star very soon if he's not already a star. He's a star in my book, but with the boxing world, you got to make sure that they cross all the T's, dot all the I's and everything, and this guy really does do it. And I felt like they kind of put him on the sideline after that Taylor fight because he's a boogeyman. You scared to fight a guy like this. So it is what it is at the end of the day. And boxing had a great weekend this weekend. And we look forward to some more great weekends. We got Tyson Fury and Chisora coming up Saturday, and I'll talk more about that tomorrow because I have more to talk about with boxing tomorrow. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we'll go ahead and we'll get into all of our hoop stuff, college basketball, NBA, and then we're going to get to talking tickets. All right. So you guys stay tuned. And we're talking Monday Night Football as well, too, when I get back. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back. We are back. Let's go ahead and jump into Monday Night Football. And we have ourselves a matchup that's kind of like just the matchup that we all had to kind of put ourselves through. You have a Colts team that hasn't had a week off yet. You know, they're into their 12th week. They're 4-6-1. Then you got the Steelers who are 3-7. Kind of a surprise here. You thought the Steelers would be a little bit better, maybe 4-6. You know, maybe 5-5. You didn't expect them to be one of the better teams in the NFL this year, but you know, this is weird for the Steelers because the Steelers usually are competing. We all know that. But it's still a lot of time left in the season, so this could spark some things. And they were pretty tough in that game against the Bengals. So I'm looking at the numbers coming into this game, and you got a Steelers team that's been playing great defense all season. It's just the offense that's been the problem, you know, and that's because they drafted a guy who's a rookie. That's what they're dealing with right now. They lost their last 3 out of 5, but they got a good dominant win over New Orleans a few weeks back. So that's something that you tip your cap to. Now, the Colts, on the other hand, they've lost their last 4 out of 5. And they got it, but they could have won that game last week, losing 17-16. They actually had that game won, in my opinion. They just gave it up at the end. So, you know, Indianapolis is going to get a lot of love here by the time we get to the window. And I think that's going to probably be the worst idea for anybody. I think that the Steelers are going to come out here and be thorough in this matchup tonight. And I think they're going to wind up getting themselves a very thorough victory as well, too. I like them straight up. And these teams aren't playoff teams, but they on the schedule, so they got to go through with it. Because if Monday Night Football could get their flex, they would have loved to flex this game out. Honestly, they would have loved to flex it out for Tennessee and Cincinnati, I bet. But they had to stick to the script with Monday Night Football. You didn't really think that these two teams were going to be this bad, and I know what they were doing. Let's go ahead and highlight a matchup between Najee Harris and Jonathan the running back for the Colts. And pretty much that's what it's not going to come to that. It's not. So it is what it is. And this one winds up being a very peculiar game, but I can guarantee it won't be as exciting as you want it to be. So there it is with that. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our college basketball game of the day. And that's going to be a game that I'm going to catch y'all off guard with. Sam Houston State at Nevada. Sam Houston State balling right now, 6-0. They got like 3 40-point wins. They got 2 wins over Power 6 schools, including a 10-point win over Utah. Opened up the season with a 1-point win over Oklahoma. And this team is balling right now. Like, they went to Fort Myers this weekend, and they looked like a top 25 team. And nobody's talking about Sam Houston State. Like, literally, Sam Houston State is averaging 81 points a game. But, they only play 40 minutes of college basketball, right? In their last 4 out of 5 games, 120, 84, 88, and 80. Their lowest output was in the Utah game where they scored 65 points. Okay? So that is intriguing. Now you got Nevada. Who's coming in here, winners of their last 4 out of 5. They got a good win over Akron, and Kansas State is a good team. Kansas State will probably be a top 10 team at some point this season because I feel like they're going to do some things in the Big 12 this year. But I'm looking at this right now, and Nevada's good. Has had some good wins. They've had some really good wins. They beat Tulane by 9. They beat Arlington by 19. I'm just going over their last 5 games or so, and they just won their last game by 4. Only reason why you look at Nevada and say they got a chance that they're the favorite tonight is because they're at home. If this was a neutral territory game, they will probably put this one as a pick'em, to be honest with you. So I truly do think that when it comes down to it, that this is the game of the day, and I love Sam Houston State with the 3.5 points and with the money line today as well too. So this is the game of the day in college basketball. You got a 6 and zip team going against a 6-1 team. So it's not like I'm just picking a random game. This is the best game that you will see on the schedule today. So that's why I said you got to jump into this one because there's a lot of action here, and you can go either way here. But Sam Houston State has a lot of variables that say take them. Because their worst output this season was 52 points to Oklahoma team. Oklahoma, not to Jesuit School of the Deaf or something like that, but Oklahoma of all teams. So you got that part. And I just really do like the way that this game sets up. I truly do. All right, so let's talk about the state of the Lakers. And the Lakers do have themselves a game tonight as well, too. So the Lakers, we hoping that the Lakers can somewhat get this thing together because they need to get it together. They won their last. The Lakers they've been good. They've won their last 5 out of 6 games. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people just don't want to just get with the flow, but the Lakers are playing much better basketball right now. They truly are. And, winning their last 5 out of 6 after dropping 5 in a row this month and then having a putrid start to the season as well, too, going 1-5. Over this stretch, the Lakers are a far better team now. The Lakers are 6-6 this month. Things have changed a little bit with the Lakers. And right now, the Lakers are 7-11. Okay? They were 2-10 at one point. So you have to tell yourself, all right, it's a long season in the NBA. You thought the Lakers were going to be like one of these teams like how the Rockets are or like how the Thunder were going to be. The NBA, you should always gauge everything on the NBA on what have they done in the last 5 games? What have they done in the last 10 games? Y'all are always so worried about one game with the Lakers. That's what kills me. And then everybody gave the Warriors the benefit of the doubt. Everybody just the Warriors get exempt. You know what I mean? Oh, it's okay. They're 8-10 and got beat by 45 points. You know, I know they're 10-10 now. They've evened it up, but there was some embarrassing losses for the Warriors. Nobody spoke on this. Nobody wanted to say anything about it. Like, they would get blacklisted or something if they did it. You know, so flu season ain't no joke, man. I ain't got the flu, but man. All right, so state of the Lakers, man. The Lakers play Indiana tonight. Indiana's coming off of Indiana could have been better last night, but you know, they played the Clippers early game as well, too. So no clubbing for you last night. They won by 14, but they lost by 14, so they don't get to be in the club. They had a poor second half, too. They wound up scoring 57 in the first half. They wound up having 43 in the second half, and they only scored 12 points in the third quarter. So, you know, they had their problems last night. Jalen Smith was really good last night, though. And this guy's kind of under the radar a little bit. I never heard of him until right now. So Jalen Smith, guy who played for Phoenix the last few years, he was their lead scorer. So that's something you kind of like, whoa, okay. You know what I mean? So he was their lead scorer last night. You got Tyler Halliburton had 11 assists. But the Clippers got a good win last night. You know, Zubac had 29 rebounds and 31 points. And you know, that's absolutely insane. And that was not like top of the world news. I'm like, an NBA guy gets 31 points and 29 rebounds. We need to talk about this. So they were good last night, though. Zubac did them well. And the Pacers are having a really good month this month. Well, I ain't even going to fret. The Pacers are doing very well for themselves. They're actually 8-2 right now for the month of November. And this team did start off pretty bad to start the season off, but they've gotten it together since being 3-5. Now they're 8-2, 8-3 this month. So they're sitting at 11-8. But as I said before, teams have good months and then they have bad months. It's about stretches in this league, okay? And the Pacers aren't one of these teams that are even thinking about getting into the playoffs. They actually have won about 20% of their games already for the season. Just think about that. I don't see this team getting past 35 wins this year, to be honest with you. But there'll always be a team that's going to give you some issues. But the Lakers and the vehement hate that people have for the Lakers is kind of subsiding. Now you don't hear everybody having so much to say about the Lakers because now they're winning basketball games. Lakers are 6th in rebounding as well, too. That's a great stat to look at. Anthony Davis playing great basketball, 26.3 to go to his 12.8 rebounds a game. LeBron's getting damn near a triple-double still with 20 and damn near getting 26 himself. Lonnie Walker is getting 17 points a game as well. Westbrook playing great basketball. He's getting a little bit under 15. You want to see a little bit more, and we'll probably get a little bit more since the season is now progressing a little bit. Now, guys' confidence is there. It's there. So that's something that you do have in a court. So I truly do like the way that this is setting up for the Lakers, and you know, sky's the limit for the Lake Show. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and that's going to be the NBA Monday night. And up first, we have ourselves the Wolves and the Wizards. And the Wizards playing good basketball. The Wolves playing good basketball. You got two teams that are running with the same record, 10-10. That's why I highlighted this game as well, too, because I see the records and I say, okay, these two teams are trying to kind of hit a groove a little bit. They didn't start the season in the best way, but now they're getting things together. You got a Wolves team coming in here who had won 5 in a row. Now they've lost 2 in a row. And they are right now 6-7 for the month. So that's something that, you know, they've been a back and forth team. It's been either or with them. Then you got the Wizards who are playing a lot better, but they've lost 3 in a row as well, too, after winning 7 out of 8. So actually after winning 6 out of 7. I'm sorry. And they had a 2-game winning streak before they went on this 3-game losing streak. But 2 of the games was at Miami, and the last game was at Boston. So they had to go against pretty good teams in the process as well, too. So you have that. So when I look at this game tonight, I say to myself, it's hard to pick a winner, but it's easy to look at that scoreboard and figure out what's going to go on. And I feel like we will get the over in this spot. So Wolves Wizards is a good game tonight for bettors, in my opinion. It's a real good game for bettors, and it's not that crazy on the spread either. It's a plus 1.5. So really, they're telling you can take either side. It's to be literally a pick 'em. Because what are the odds of you getting a 1 point win? You know what I mean? It's not very high. But that's why they have it here as well too. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about another one of the big games of the night, Raptors and Cavaliers. This game is going to be in Toronto as well. You got a Cavs team coming in here 13-7. You got the Raptors coming in 10-9. Raptors, good win for us the other day as well, too. They were my premium play as a plus 120 dog. Cavs have won their last 5 out of 6, coming out of a 5-game losing streak at that moment. And they're playing much better basketball. They got a good win against Detroit last night. Now they come into Toronto on a back-to-back, and the last back-to-back they had, they were pretty good. They won by double digits, beat Miami and Atlanta, but that was at home. This is different. And the last back-to-back they had on the road was in LA. They wound up winning the first night, and then they wound up losing the next night to the Clippers. They beat the Lakers, then they lost to the Clippers. So I truly do feel this Cavs team, you don't know what team to expect, but usually they show up and they show out. But I still like the spread more than anything because I expect a close game between these two teams as well too. So I like the Cavs, but I don't like the Cavs enough for the money line tonight. I like the Cavs on the spread. So we'll see how this one shakes out, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Rockets Nuggets. This one is a tricky game because you got a team in the Rockets that are going to be the peripheral underdog with, a big spread. It's 11.5 tonight to the Rockets. And this team has been struggling this month, but they're much better than they were to start the season off. They start the season off 1-7. Right now, they're 5-14. So they have went 4-7 this month, a little bit better. And they also have won their last 2 games in a row, and they got a double-digit win as well, too. Their first of the season against Oklahoma City on Saturday night. So that's something that you do have to look at going into this game tonight, that this might not be the easiest game for the Denver Nuggets tonight. And this is their first matchup of the season as well, too. So, Denver hasn't been good against the bad teams this season either. So I truly do feel like this one can be a game that gets a little sticky. But I think that what happens here is that to not beat yourself up, you should scoreboard watch this one. And I know a lot of people will say bet the over here, but I think the under is the play here. Under 228, that's a good number right there. So we're going to see that one, how this one shapes up and shakes out. But Rockets and Nuggets should be a good one. You got a Nuggets team. You don't know what Nuggets team is coming to the arena, though. You know what I mean? And that's why I say you might have a chance here. But they played well this month. They've gotten themselves 8 wins and 4 losses in the month of November. And, they're just going through the motions. They've won 2 in a row as well, too. And they are a team that, they're in a good position right now because they get Houston twice. Then they play Atlanta, and then they play New Orleans to end this week off. So they're going to be back on the road Friday this weekend. But they want to take advantage of these two home games against a lowly team like the Rockets, who aren't really looking forward to winning games. So there it is. There it is. All right, so we move forward to our final game in the group. Oh, well, no, it's not our final game in the group, but it's going to be the It's going to be the Bulls and the Jazz. The 97-98 finals all over again. But these teams don't have those guys anymore. They don't have those guys walking through the door. Robin's not walking through that door. MJ's not walking through that door. Karl Malone's not walking through that door. Somebody talking about Karl Malone. Why wasn't he in the GOAT conversation? There's a lot of reasons why Karl Malone wasn't in no GOAT conversation. He had John Stockton, dude. If you don't have Stockton, life isn't as easy as it looks. But Karl Malone is one of the greats, though, period, point blank. It's just you don't like him as a person, so you're not going to put him in your Jordan and your LeBron and your Kobe group. It's that simple. All right, so you got Bulls 8-11. You got the Jazz 12-10. The Jazz have kind of slowed down a little bit because everybody thought the Jazz were some special type of situation, but we just knew it was a matter of time before reality struck with them as well too. Now, they haven't been as good as they were last month. This team has really been losing a lot this month. They've lost 4 in a row. Recently, they had lost 3 in a row as well too. And they're 5-8 this month. And this was after a beautiful start to the season where they started the season off 6-2. So since then, they're 6-8. So it just hasn't been good for this team moving forward. You know what I mean? It just hasn't been good at all. And really 7-8. Really, my bad. They're 5-8. So yeah. The things are starting to be, the reality starting to set in. So they got Chicago and the Clippers here at home the next 2 games. And you got the Bulls who just have been a giant killer. You know what I mean? The Bulls just keep coming out and impressing. You know what I mean? And I like the way that the Bulls are stepping into this game. They had 2 wins in a row, then they lost to OKC by 4. All right. But that doesn't take me away from wanting to hop on the Bulls. The Bulls just beat the Celtics by 14 in Boston. So this team is going to get it at some point. And I think that they're about to trade away from really having a big, big moment here. So we're going to see how this one shapes up and shakes out. But I love the Bulls in this spot tonight. And you're getting plus money on them as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, then we got the Suns and the Kings tonight. Suns and Kings. This one is a fun one. You got a Suns team coming in here 13-6. And when was the last time you had a Kings team with the winning record in November going against the Suns? And, Suns just got good too. So, they spend a lot of time having some really great games as bad teams. But, after Sacramento won that 7 in a row, they've lost 2 in a row since that point. But they were 2 tough games. They had Boston and Atlanta. And so they got the whole weekend off and they're back at home. So you can't ask for anything better than that. And right now the game says plus 1.5 on my screen, but I'm looking at the spread as we speak. It's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em. So that just tells me that you can't trust Phoenix tonight. Because they making it too easy for you to take Phoenix tonight, but Phoenix just hasn't been a consistent force that you want them to be, especially on the road. But I know they won the last 4 in a row, but those were all home games. Last time they were on the road, their last 3 on the road, they've lost. So that's why the odds makers are lining it up just like this. Everything says to me to bet it big on the Kings tonight. Yeah, I know they lost 2 in a row, but that was a team coming off 7 wins in a row as well, too. And then teams said, okay, let's take them a little bit more seriously. Tonight, against this Phoenix team, who's going to overthink this thing, I think that Sacramento winds up getting the win. So I like the Kings in this spot tonight. I think that it works out very well for all of us. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Kings Suns tonight in Sacramento, it should be a good one. And I like what I see here. All right. So with that, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into Talkin Tickets. All right. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing, with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back. We are back. All right, up first, CBB PrimeTime PK6. It's Talkin Tickets time. And I'm going to take Louisiana Monroe with the plus 18.5. Then we got Milwaukee tonight. Wisconsin, Milwaukee with the minus 130. We got Texas Southern tonight with the plus 24.5. That's going to be in the Kansas game. You got UC San Diego tonight. That's a toughie. But I like UC San Diego the way that they've been showing up, and it's in San Diego. Then I told you guys before, Sam Houston State. That's my CBB bet of the day right there. Sam Houston State money line plus 165. And then we're in the final game of the night with Washington playing against Seattle. Should be a fun one. But I like Washington with the minus 5. Then we have ourselves the NBA Super High 5, the over 227.5 with the Wolves and the Wizards tonight. Cavs plus 3.5 tonight. Bulls plus 105. I wouldn't call it the NBA dog of the day, but it is plus money, but it's a low dog. It's a low dog, all right? Then you have the under 228 with the Rockets and the Nuggets. And then you have the Kings wrapping it up at minus 110 with the money line tonight. I like the 26-1 ticket a lot. 26-1 is a good number. You put $20 on that, that's $520 for you right there. That's a good way to start the week, don't you think? Don't you think? You put 50 on it, it's $1,300 though. So, do what you like. All right, so we move forward, and we have ourselves the Monday Night Football bets. Steelers money line plus 125. Steelers first half plus 1. Under 7 first quarter. Colts under 20.5 team total. So there you have it. Single what you like. And that's Talking Tickets for you for today. So you guys already know what time it is. And it's time to wrap it up. That's what time it is. It's Monday. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Kind of, because this sickness is messing me up. But we should be good in the morning. We just getting it out of our system. So you guys stay smart. Stay focused. And like I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. And I'll be back at you tomorrow, same time at noon, talking boxing, CBB, college football, NFL, NBA. And also be ready for your show, your favorite, the best NFL show in the world, the NFL Bet Exchange. So that'll be tomorrow at 10 a.m. So you guys be ready for that with me and Jeff as well, too. All right, so there it is. There it is. But once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And that's a wrap. And I'm gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production,